Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is the Yukitsu Times, welcome to my channel, welcome back to Shogun 2 Total War. I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks pretty soon, so I'm going to be breaking these up into shorter videos for a little while so I can sort of keep putting out content while I'm away. So probably just 1 or 2 matches per video. We've got ourselves an 8-star classical general here from Reddit, it looks like. He favors a balanced army and he's a legendary leader. Let's see if we can sort of piss him off. Those Reddit guys tend to be fairly choleric. No offense if you're a Redditor, because, you know, you're easily offended. Anyway, we got ourselves a fairly offense-heavy army here with 4 Katana Samurai, including 2 very high veterancy ones. We got ourselves some Yari Ashigaru, and then we got ourselves some very higher-end quality range units here, going for these Matchlock Samurai and our Bow Warrior Monks. Guarding our sides and rear against cavalry are going to be these 3 Yari cavalry, and I've got these Naginata attendants as sort of a filler, and of course to do some blocking in the back as well. Now, his general, since he's also a famous leader, is going to have a slight bonus against mine in that morale department, since that's probably what he's taken. But his general doesn't have any other key characteristics, so just like mine, he's not going to be anything in melee combat or anything like that. So we'll have to see how he sets up. If he gets in a good position with the stand and fight, he could have a much better advantage over my forces, but fortunately, these higher quality troops tend to pull through in a big way against that kind of thing. I'm going to switch out the Livestock Pestilence for the Untrained Fugu Cook, since in this particular case, I'm not too worried about his mobility or his ability to move around fast. I just have to make sure that my opponent doesn't actually get on my ranged units, but since I have so few ranged units, it's going to be relatively easy to cover them with what cavalry and with what spears I have. Also, this map, you know, I'm not too worried about flank attacks on this map, since it's a little bit tricky to organize them. Now, this map can sometimes really come down to a bit of luck, since each side starts with a slightly closer dojo, and which one you get can really sort of dictate the flow of a battle in a lot of ways. So hopefully we'll start near a good one. Armory is typically very strong here unless your opponent has absolutely no shooting whatsoever, in which case you want either a shrine or the sword dojo, but it's all up to luck, so we'll have to see how that goes. Of course, accommodating that luck, you need to frame your strategy around what you have and what your opponent has. If they have the better one and you can't use the one that you have on your side, you have to make sure to push them off that faster. So, you know, it's not like it's an advantage to the point where you can't really get by it. It just dictates your strategy a little bit. This guy is paranoid about me using things against him, and has got a ton of just really minor disadvantages against me. This Wizened Monk can be fairly effective, but yeah, none of this really makes a lot of sense to me, so let's just get this on with. I'm starting near the Bow Dojo. That'll be okay given my composition if I can get in the woods here. And he seems to not want a prolonged or effective shooting phase of this battle here. So we're going to load up our bows in the front, protect them with our spears. We're going to get our swords just behind that. Our rear of our infantry and our general is going to be covered by these Naginata attendants. General over here. And we're going to hide all of our cavalry up here just to see what he's up to. They're fast enough to maneuver around if it turns out that I need them over here. Okay, so I think he's going to probably go for his shrine. He's got mounted gunners, which are going to potentially be a problem. And it looks like he's just rushing all his cavalry up to the side here. Okay, so I'm going to have to bring my cavalry around and soft group these guys. And yeah, so I'm going to have to react pretty quickly to his. Now, his infantry is dramatically worse than mine, and in some ways he's even at a disadvantage in terms of melee infantry and shooting, even though he's got more archers, because I have the much higher quality ones. Okay, so he's trying to get his mounted gunners in a good position here, but I mean, I'm not going to just let him set up. That hill, I think, is in the way a little bit of him. So let's just get our Yari Ashigaru around here. And let's use our Naginata attendants for capture.
So in a melee combat, I'm going to just utterly trounce him. Let's see, those are Matchlock Samurai, Yari Samurai. Yeah, in a melee fight, I only really need a little bit of my infantry to completely crush him. So that'll be his potential downfall, unless he does something absolutely brilliant with that cavalry. Now what I need is to get vision of those matchlocks in the woods here. If I can start doing that, then I'm going to be able to start firing at them. And whatever I can pick off here is going to help a ton. Okay, I got a couple of them. Okay, so let's... Should I rush here is the question. Yes, absolutely I should. Okay, so I need to cover my flank and my shooting with those bows, or with some of my units here. But I'm just going to run in here. You can see his Matchlock Samurai are going to get caught up a little bit in my Naginata attendants. It's going to give me a little bit of an opportunity against them. Going to spear wall here. He's separated off a bit of his cavalry, so I should be able to overwhelm him here. Let's get these guys moraled up here. Not sure what's wrong with these guys over here. They're winning now, but they're having some problems for a second there. Yeah, he should be fine. Let's get a rally over here. Let's get him in stand and fight. And that's his cavalry cleared off the field, so big mistake on his part. Let's get some more of our troops over here. Let's get these guys firing at those Matchlock Samurai. Okay, let's get just all of our cavalry going straight at those mounted gunners. Come hell or high water, I want them off the field. And I'm firing at his Matchlock Samurai with these regular bows over here. I don't need to be in spear wall with these guys anymore, so let's just rush them forward. Nope. Need to disrupt these guys before they can get off a volley. They might just get off a volley before I can do anything about it. Nope, in I get. And that's going to be that unit. Okay, and my opponent's just going to get completely trounced at this point. Doesn't have the numbers to fend off my superior infantry anymore. So, again, it's very important that you can figure out when it's appropriate to rush an opponent. And this was one of those cases where it was like, he gave me a very good opportunity by splitting that cavalry to try and blunt my charge while simultaneously holding off my cavalry. He couldn't hold off 3 units of cavalry with 3 of his, even though his had higher veterancy. Since I committed to a direct charge, my 3 overwhelmed him pretty easily. And once that happened, he couldn't really do anything to stop me from just overwhelming his units. And that's another thing I dislike again about Yari Samurai, is that they can't stop a dedicated assault if I just decide, screw it, I'm going to go kill him. Which is exactly what happened in the end there. Without that strong infantry line to retreat to, and without the ability to overwhelm my cavalry, my opponent just didn't really stand a chance in that particular match, because what he needed to do was keep those mounted gunners alive and pick away at my units for as long as possible. I didn't give him an angle for it, and I didn't give him the time for it. And without those elements, those guys are just a big money sink. Yeah, I'm not really sure. He shouldn't have moved forward so aggressively like he did. I don't think he was really planning on getting that close that quickly. But in any event, you know, good game to my opponent.
there are a few fundamental errors, I think, in sort of his general strategy there, in that he didn't have a solid, reliable battle line anywhere, and he didn't have anything that could really exploit maneuverability to the fullest extent. So there were some flaws that made that a fairly easy victory for me. And even though my units were sort of arbitrarily wavering, if I recall, actually no, I know why they were wavering. It's because of his general's retainer's abilities, which made his rally demoralize my troops a little bit. That's not actually enough to break high-level Katana units against another leadership general. Now, speaking of the devil, I've also got the Mesuke Inspector now. Not really something I actually find useful, so I won't be using that. I think he actually takes it more for the ability to cancel the enemy Shinobi Informer. That ability is incredibly useful. Let's ignore this for now. Okay, so looking at our unit statistics. Our general, he lost one guy. What you'll notice was happening was he took all his bow samurai and started concentrating their fire on my general's bodyguard. The thing about a general's bodyguard is they're a very well-armored unit, and that formation they take isn't very susceptible to arrows. So unless you've got a really high veteran bow warrior monk, you're not really going to be causing any kills if you're using arrow fire against that general. So I generally find it to be a waste of time to try and pick off a general with bow fire. My Katana Cavalry, 112 kills, 111 kills. That's on my veteran units. Unveteran units got 84 kills, 146 kills on the other one. Those are all really, really good numbers, and it shows the dominance of Katana Samurai against Yari Samurai. My Yari Ashigaru, both cases, 24 kills and 72 kills. That was a lot of people run down that were already running. The 24 kills, I think, was a little bit of cavalry because they're also worth a very large number of points. So it was probably the fire cav that they were killing. That might have been my spear wall. Naginata attendants. They tied up his gun unit for a little while. They bullet shielded a little bit, but they're also still useless. My Matchlock Samurai got a level. They got 38 kills, not bad. My Bow Warrior Monks only got 9 kills because I decided to completely eschew the skirmishing phase and just go for a head-on attack. My Ari Cavalry got 34 kills, 64 kills, and 71 kills. That's pretty much that sort of even trade, except none of them died, really, which is a nice thing, is that you can use them afterwards to run down enemy specific objectives like those mounted gunners. Looking at my opponent's army, he had a really expensive unit of the fire cavalry and a fairly expensive unit of mounted gunners. They had, if I recall, 5 on the mounted gunners and 7 levels on the fire cavalry or something like that. He only got 38 kills on the fire cavalry because numbers matter, especially in those cavalry fights against Yari cavalry, and his mounted gunners didn't get a chance to shoot. His other 2 Yari cavalry, 50 kills, 38 kills. Those are both fairly normal numbers. Nothing too spectacular there. His only problem with that is that he was spending more money on his cavalry than I was spending on mine. So that's the big downfall with what he was doing. His Matchlock Samurai have 37 kills, which is actually, I think, technically more than mine got. No, 1 less. Okay, well, that's fine. But the big problem with them was that all they really got were attendants. His Bow Samurai, 32 kills, 17 kills. Bow Samurai, if you were going to use them like that, he needed to back off. He couldn't be pushing right up against me like that. And he did, so I got a really strong opportunity to just sprint forward and negate most of his bow fire. His Yari Samurai, again, Yari Samurai, not very good. 81 kills on 1 is the best he got, which is pretty darn good for a Yari Samurai, but I think they were fighting to the death for some reason. They may have had hold firm, and I might not have noticed, in which case, they might have been... I should have checked that, but in all honesty, you can tell, even when they've got that, just not a match for a good Katana Samurai unit. The lesson to take from this really is that if your opponent has this kind of army composition that looks very mobile, it looks like they can out-skirmish you in a lot of ways, just go kill them. I mean, it's not like they can really stop you with anything. I mean, he has to sort of block with his Yari Samurai, but they can't stop Katana Samurai. He kind of has to try and shoot as long as possible with those Bow Samurai or those mounted gunners, but as you can see, they can't actually fire if they're running away from stuff. So that mobility only matters if you can lock down units so that you can sort of capitalize on that mobility, because once your opponent is in motion as well, like when I was in motion with my Yari Ashigaru, I could counter his mobility just by moving my units around in a tighter radius. So what he needs to do is make sure all my units are locked down, and then you can use your mobility. It doesn't work when you try and just use your mobility for the sake of it. Anyway,
I think that's going to be one video. I'll do another one and another match, and that'll be a separate video. So I will see you as soon as I get back.